Chapter 543. At the same time, Paisel was at the Serene World Clinic and was currently in a daze as he stared at the rejuvenating pill that Alex had given him. He was thinking about what Alex had said to him. Alex told him that this medicine would be able to make him 10 years younger, and it would also extend his life by another 10 years. Although he knew that Alex had magical powers, he still felt that this kind of medicinal effect was simply a fantasy. As the saying goes, there would be a day when flowers bloom and people would never be young again. Human beings could control anything in this world, but time was the only thing they could never control. How many people in this world could actually come up with a rejuvenating pill that could turn time around? However, since the medicine had been given to him by Alex, Paisel had full confidence in the medicine's ability. He knew that Alex would never deceive or lie to him. If Alex said the medicine would have such a magical effect, it simply meant that the medicine would have that effect. Therefore, Paisel made up his mind to take the medicine according to Alex's instructions. Paisel carefully placed the rejuvenating pill into his mouth. He initially thought that it would be very difficult for him to swallow this pill. Unexpectedly, the pill immediately dissolved, and there was a pleasant and sweet taste that flowed directly into his abdomen. This was followed by a magical moment that Paisel would never forget. He felt a warm current tightly wrapping itself around his whole body, and it felt like strange energy was beginning to work on every part of his body. At first, Paisel could feel some tightness on his face. Then, his scalp began to itch and go numb before the rest of his joints started feeling a little warm. A few minutes later, Paisel felt as though he had been completely reborn. He truly felt that his body had been restored to the way it had been 10 years ago. Paisel subconsciously stepped in front of the mirror and was shocked when he saw his reflection. It was no wonder why he had felt some tightness on his face earlier. It turned out that his old and wrinkled skin had tightened up, and he looked so much younger than he was before. What was even more amazing was that he previously had a head full of gray hair, but unexpectedly, half of his head was now filled with black hair. He could also easily straighten his body, which was already hunched and bent over, and there were great improvements in his severely degraded joints. Paisel hurriedly checked his pulse and found that his breathing and pulse had greatly improved compared to how it had been before. This meant that Paisel not only looked younger and had stronger bones, but his internal organs had all been rejuvenated and made new again. This was equivalent to him suddenly returning to his 60s when he was in fact already in his 70s. Paisel was filled with shock and excitement. If a person's life was a clock, the energy stored in the clock would continue to fade over time. And this clock would stop completely when the moment came where all of the energy stored in the clock was completely exhausted. Yet now, it seemed as though Alex had used his God's hands to rewind and turn Paisel's clock backward twice. This also meant that Paisel's clock could run for another 2 more rounds. Wasn't this a miracle?